most wonderful time of the. No, wait, it's Homestuck, so. Lol. Your weak, pathetic digits are not strong enough to penetrate the can. Your fingers are certainly pointy enough, and your black carapace is suitably rigid, but you just don't have enough muscle for the task. Take the can labeled beans. Okay, take that too. Examine can of custard. The can clearly reads mustard, a fact of which you are perfectly well aware. It is sort of cumbersome holding all of these cans at once. You doubt you can hold any more than this, maybe one or two. You'll need to find something to put stuff in if you want to carry a lot of things around. Examine the marking on wrist. You drop all the cans, take a look at your wrist. What time is it? It's a sort of specialized barcode pattern. This brings back unpleasant memories, and you would prefer not to dwell on it. Examine small potted plant. What plant? Check book on human etiquette. It appears half the pages of this book have been eaten. The daunting volume is considerably lighter than it once was. Pardon me, I was just drinking. You're somewhat skeptical about the nutritional value contained by these pages. However, the practical wisdom they contain, there can be little doubt. You have learned so much. Can be little doubt. Clear out all the cans inside the purple machine. You empty the peculiar cabinet and take a quick inventory of your canned goods. You have beans, mustard, gravy, bread, shrimp, asparagus, cheese, rice, corn, peas, flour, chestnuts, mayo, ham, potatoes, and squash. Such bountiful plenty, and yet the delights taunt you from within their small metal prisons. Search room for a can opener. You have already looked all over the place for a can opener, even making a few electronic inquiries about one, to no avail. Nothing else inside the purple thing either. Locate nearby sharp object. You wield your trusty knife. It is actually a You're not sure what they're called. It's an old rusted one of those red mailbox arm swingy flappy doodads. Either for letting you know there's mail in the box, or maybe for alerting the mailman to outgoing mail to be collected. You don't know really. You've wrapped a little piece of cloth around it for the grip. It is useless for opening cans. Be the imp. This means nothing to you. You are not an imp, you are not an imp. You have no idea what an imp is, and you will not entertain such frivolous and childish ideas ever again. You feel stupid and hate yourself a little for even considering it. Become the mayor of Cantown. So this is where it all began. As the glorious founder and mayor of Cantown, you erect a dignified, majestic city hall out of cans, fittingly capped off with a tome of good manners for the roof. You have given yourself a very official and important-looking mayoral sash, made out of old cables to complete your look of authority. A number of rather civic-minded citizen cans gather in front of the building to offer adulation to their fair and magnanimous leader. All is well. You immerse yourself in this beautiful dream as you whittle away the minutes, or perhaps hours. You love the idea of being a mayor. You love everything about mayors, and the concept of an orderly civil democracy. It all all seem so mannerly and reasonable to you. Everyone is friendly and happy, and the city runs like clockwork. The foundation of the government is based on mutual respect between the leader and its people, and it is also built on having a really great mayor that everyone loves, who is totally amazing and heroic and brave. Mayors are so much better than kings. You hate kings, and you think kings are really stupid. They, they're petty, bossy tyrants, and they and are really full of themselves and are basically awful in every way. Every way. God, you hate kings. Explorer west of Cantown. Over here is the other side of the room. There is another one of those purple storage boxes and some useless objects scattered on the floor. Use glowing green rock to open cans. You pick up the nugget of uranium and... Oh, that was so stupid. Why did you do that? Examine box of crayons. It's chalk, numbnuts. Doesn't say here. Oh wait. It does. It does say it's just 4 pixels. Inside the box are 12 pieces of chalk in every color of the 10 pieces of chalk in most colors of the rainbow. Wait a minute. Never mind. You are excited by this. Try to open the storage box. It's locked. There must be some sort of release mechanism for this thing. Examine contents of yellow container. The container is full of motor oil. This does not seem useful to you right now. Rescue that poor lightning bug. There is nothing you can do for this new little friend. Attempting to crush the amber encasing the firefly would likely cause it harm. It nevertheless bravely flashes on. You find its light alluring, inspiring. To you it seems as if it could quite easily serve as a light of democracy. Fantastic. I love this. Use the chalk to draw some roads. You sketch a handsome network of sprawling thoroughfares for your citizens to traverse. The adoring population applauds its mayor's keen instincts for city planning. You even add some lush vegetation to your city with a piece of blue chalk, because you can't seem to find a more suitable color for some reason. Lay a chalk foundation for Cantown's civic growth. You develop westward. Those fertile plains settling those fertile plains and claiming them for your city. You section off a number of residential and commercial zones for civic growth, arranged in the only logical pattern that occurs to you. You color the residential zones with your piece of white chalk, but for some reason, none of the colors in the box strike you as suitable for the commercial zones. Perhaps there is an alternative. Use your own P for the commercial zones. You cannot urinate because you have not had anything to drink in quite some time. You are very thirsty. Also, that is a really tolerable idea, and you would not consider befouling your wonderful city in that way for even a moment. Use motor oil to designate commercial zones. You fill each empty square with a bit of motor oil to complete the zoning. It looks rather striking to you. You can hardly imagine that as an up-and-coming young can trying to make it in the world without not being delighted to live in your fair district. You are very careful not to get any of the unpleasant fluid on your person. Peel label from a can of mayo and affix to sash. Survey surroundings in search of more terrain for the city. It seemed to have run out of territory for western expansion. Hold up. Shit, wrong button. Or whatever. Alright, wonderful. It seems to have run out of territory for your western expansion, but it seemed to run out of territory for your western expansion, but there is still a lot of empty wall space. Perhaps your citizens would be happier with a colorful backdrop that would make them feel better, that would make them feel more at home. Using most of your imagination and an entire piece of sky blue chalk, you render a bright and cheerful sky full of clouds. Pardon me. You have decided that very closely orbiting your city is a luminous planet about which orbits a single moon. You switch to another shade of blue and continue rendering the western wall. Orbiting much further from your city are 4 planets. None of these have satellites. You have decided. Yes, that makes sense. You think? And on the southern wall, beyond an impenetrable veil of darkness occupying the furthest orbit yet, there is an ominous planet, a moon. Circles this one too. Check that rampaging boy on the screen. No, yeah, it's that guy. You'd almost forgotten about him and his confusing shenanigans. It seems like he has things well in hand at the moment. He does not appear to need your help, and you have already concluded that he cannot help you, at least for the time being. Turn on other 3 screens. You have no idea how to turn these on. There's no mouse for this weird quadri-monitored computer. It can only be operated through text commands from its keyboard. Perhaps there is a special key or command which will allow it to switch to another monitor. Press tab. Oh shit, it's tab. Consumed several cans. You feed the heavenly brown elixir from the jewels of pink carapace and imbibe like the wind. It is so sweet and sugary. You wonder how much sugar can fit in one can. Whatever mighty wizard concocted this potion is truly deserving of your fear and respect. Product of the Coca-Cola Company. It's Coke. Welcome to the rest of the city. The tabs are naturalized as loyal new citizens of Cantown. All cans are welcome and equal in your city, regardless of can content, and whether empty or full. It's not like emptying a can kills it or anything. They're just cans after all. Hit escape. Feeling refreshed and heavily caffeinated, you go back to work on the big computer. You hit escape, which seems to minimize the action window thingy and reveals a history of all the commands you've entered. Use the arrow key to scroll up a bit. You can't believe how much you've already typed in this stupid contraption. What a waste of time. I know, right? Well, you scroll all the way up to your first command. It looks like there are more commands above it. Maybe someone was entering commands on this thing before you. There aren't any more at the top of this list. Ap- There aren't any more. At the top of this list appears to be the very first command. Type switch 2. You activate screen 2. The signal is garbled, and you have no idea what you're looking at. Some sort of filthy beggar pleading for help. No one is around and nothing is happening. You seem to be locked out of any sort of interaction with whatever's happening on this monitor. Type switch 3. Shit is happening. It's another one of these rapscallions. This monitor is locked too. You can't tell him what to do. Not that you really want to, since it just looks like more confusing nonsense to you. You consider switching to screen 4, but decide against it. You have a feeling that whatever's there would just confuse you even more, and don't even really care all that much anyway. Type home. All four screens activate together, displaying a countdown starting at 4 hours and 13 minutes, of course. Type reboot. You can't. Nothing is working anymore. The timer seems to have disabled the keyboard. Be the mayor. Enough of this nonsense. You're an important mayor, and this absurd contraption has wasted enough of your time. You've got a city to govern with a carapace fist, which is to say firm, yet polished and supple, and supple as the situation demands. Anyway, this would help you kill some time while you wait for the clock to count down. Create employment opportunities for the Citizen Canes. Citizen Kane. You temporarily dismantle City Hall to free up all the can power available to create a vigilant town militia. You divide them into two groups, marking them with distinct teams and ranks using the piece of white chalk and the motor oil. You then organize them in phalanx across the countryside, preparing them for a stiff training regimen. When you're through with them, your forces will be a well-oiled machine. Chalk another one up to bold leadership. Sound. Lead your men to victory. You waste more than... More on the loss of Citizen tab. Your caffeinated... pardon me. Your caffeinated jittering must have agitated all the little bubbles curiously in the liquid, creating too much pressure in the can. You speculate this is why it exploded as you nervously eye the timer. You're starting to wonder what will happen when it reaches 0. Maybe it would be best not to be near it when this happens. Minutes in the future, though perhaps not as few as implied by circumstance. A peregrine mendicant thundles precious cargo beneath the gleam of the celestially ominous. Go outside and get some sun. You say a bittersweet goodbye to your beloved city. It is time to move on to greener pastures, by which, of course, you mean an arid sandy wasteland upon which nothing green has grown in years. The door shuts behind you. A panel on the door becomes illuminated as hover over the marks on the panel, you hear another mechanical sound overhead. Clank. The LCD panel appears to have a touchscreen interface, curiously provided the funny-looking spirograph. It appears the funny-looking spirograph room is locked. The floor rotates a full 360 degrees beneath you, while the surrounding wall seems to stay put. Select the triangle fractal. The triangle fractal room does not appear to be locked. The floor returns 120 degrees and the floor opens. You go through the door to find another room. It's the same size as the other one. You just wasted all that time in, while the clock ticking down is something which may or may not be your due. Maybe there is something in here that will help you escape. Against the wall, there is another perplexing contraption. Against the opposite wall is some sort of control panel which catches your eye. It has two large screens, but only one appears to be active. There are fields for numbers. There are fields for numbers which appear to be modifiable with the dials to the right. Some numbers are already supplied by default, perhaps entered by the previous user. There are a few buttons below, the largest one bearing the symbol marking this room. Also, it looks like there's a meter stick propped up there for some reason. Attach your trusty knife to the meter stick. You immediately craft a measuring spear, possibly the most advanced form of alchemy employed thus far. This is obviously the most important thing to do first. Obviously. Or it would obviously be the most important thing to do if you had remembered bringing your trusty knife. You feel so insecure without your trusty knife. It makes you want to slit your wrists, or at the very least flog your carapace with some sort of measuring apparatus. Look at the other wall. You examine the perplexing contraption across the room. You of course have no idea what it could possibly do. You adopt the only obvious course of action, which is to poke it and prod it with your handy ruler. You are quite sure this is what science is all about. Press the triangle pattern. You go back to the control panel, which probably obviously controls that gizmo, and you push the big blue button, which is obviously probably the most obvious thing to push. You purify a pumpkin. Examine pumpkin. It seems this mysterious gourd was transported purified from a specific time and location somewhere on this planet you are on. You wonder if the machine, a purifier, will take any object that exists at whatever time and location you supply. There's a symbol carved on the pumpkin. You don't know what it means, and you doubt it will ever prove to be relevant in any way. Fucking devour pumpkin. You consider dining on the ripe flesh of the plump vegetable, but your curiosity about the purifier gets the better of you. You try to sneak a nibble of the pumpkin nonetheless. Inspect your green buttons. You first examine the attractive green buttons. The icon for the one on the left is that house shape you've seen plenty of times before. The right one on closer inspection appears to be the map for this underground facility, with an X marking its center. Press green button on right. You push the button. All of the numbers change. Perhaps either these are the coordinates for the location of the center of this facility, along with local date and time. If this is the case, it would make a useful reference point for your current bearings. Fiddle with the dials. One way to find out would be to attempt to purify something from this facility. It should be easy to zero in a location relative to the center because you have an uncanny knack for tracking precise distances you have already traversed in whatever units you choose. Your handy ruler gives you a good clue as to the basic unit of human measurement. You'll go with that. Purify your trusty knife. You nudge the coordinates very slightly and bump up the elevation by 0.5 human measurement units, 5 decimeters. You make sure to keep the time approximately what it was to begin with. You purify your trusty knife. Purify Cantown. You nudge the numbers a bit more and purify a bunch of cans. This is so much more efficient than walking back to the other room and to get them. You're hard to believe that you're to believe that time is at a premium after all. This a purified pumpkin. Dumb. Does this machine look like a purifier to you? Honestly, the idea of a purifier could both purify and purify things is so laughably ridiculous. You would wish someone to purify your brain and re-purify it with a brain that is more smart and less dumb. Use trusty knife to carve spook schema and pumpkin. What the hell are you talking about? That makes no sense at all and is basically meaningless. Try using that mushy stuff in your gourd next time. Instead, you just carve off the top, exposing a decadent cache of gorgeous seed-laden ambrosia. Needless to say, you consume all of it rather quickly, but it turns out to be too gross for us to watch. Move spirograph switch. You cannot move it. It is a spirograph shaped indentation and could probably and possibly will require a special kind of key to turn it. Purify firefly out of amber. You release your blinky new friend. You will give her a name which, when something suitably whimsical occurs to you. Adjust time dial to purify rotten pumpkin. You and Serenity consider new ways to waste more time with the purifier. You're assuming she is a girl, a firefly, even though you are not really sure that fireflies can even be girls. You target the extremely tasty rotten pumpkin that was sitting in the other room hours ago. It seems the purifier cannot unpurify something if it will create a time paradox. A gelatinous ghost pumpkin purifies and quickly dissolves into a pile of unappetizing sludge. Purify the gate over the entrance to the facility. Morse. Let's see here, that's dot dash dot dot dash dot 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 dash dash dot dash dash dash. Let's go. Serenity blinks a message of urgency. You nearly forgot what the you nearly forgot that while trapped under the amber, she was a witness to all of your tomfoolery and dilly-dallying in the other room, and knows the timer is about to expire. It is time to get this show on the road and escape. You reset the coordinates with the right green button again, and this time only adjust the elevation by approximately 10 human measurement units. Sound. Hasten to the exit post haste. Psych? Oh wait. Unpsych. You attempt the rare and highly dangerous 5 times cliffhanger combo and fail. We are doing it, man. We are making this happen. S.W.E. Ascend. Sounds like it's made on a track. Interesting. I would say that's enough for today. Except, expect more tomorrow.